Hello, beautiful people. It's been a really long time, but today I have a special guest with me. His name is Shailendra.
Namaste all.
Yeah, so Shailendra is a naturalist, right? So what does that mean?
So I'm fond of nature. I want to live in coherent with the nature as much as possible.
Right.
So I like to be with nature, but it's not very practical to be completely in the nature,
Hmm.
be living in the city. So what I understood is we have to live that lifestyle from within. So even if you are in the woods, if you don't have that thought process, then we'll definitely pollute the woods. That's how
Hmm.
we have been doing it, and that's how we are living in this urban setup.
Hmm.
Or else, it's very beautiful. Creation is very beautiful. The development, if it was happened in a constructive way,
Hmm.
then decentralized way, that
Hmm.
rather than centralized development, then definitely it would have been great. It didn't
Hmm.
happen like that, unfortunately. So yeah, we have been centralizing everything, like population, everything for their livelihoods. They are trying to come into cities.
Hmm.
Like if now even towns have become like that. So
Hmm.
if the living opportunity, livelihood opportunities, food, everything was there everywhere, spread equally, then
Hmm.
why will people migrate?
Yeah.
So seeing all these things now, how to live that life sustainably, uh, what best we can do in this present scenario. So I was pondering on all these things, and that's how I was trying to connect what all best things we can do in our
Hmm.
life in this era.
When did you start pondering about this question?
So this started since my childhood. I was blessed to have my spiritual guru, Sadhguru Sai Kumar Babaji. He's from Hyderabad. He's founder of Sai Gita Ashram and Sai Kumar Vyadi Nivarana Ashram in Hyderabad itself, near Medchal. So he's Ayurvedic doctor and a Sadguru. So I was connected to him since my childhood, since my grandparent times at least. So I used to listen to his discourses. He's a nature lover, humanitarian, and all. So I was listening to satsangs, preachers since childhood. Whatever he talks is very simple, basic. He talks about one religion, one God. Nature is like God has manifested everything. He's there, omniscient, omnipresent, and his manifestations are the nature, like it may be sun or earth or the air. Invisible form is the air, mother, father. These all, every human beings are divine souls itself. Yeah, only thing is we cover up because of that freedom which the creation has given us. Many times we cover our innate energy with all things. It may be ego or pride or with greed or anger. Many a times, yeah, they are very beautiful tools if they are utilized in a proper way. But we indulge in them or get stuck to such things, and that's how we cover up our light, that energy. So I used to listen such many, like many such discourses. It may be related to health or food or well-being, environment. So since childhood, I was putting all the seeds, like absorbing, and uh, like yeah, slowly the seeds were started growing. I was
Hmm.
connecting, like I still remember when I was coming from the school. I used to be very conscious on stepping the grass because I treat plant as a life. So how
Hmm.
can I step on the grass? It's like disrespecting the grass.
Right.
I had that thought. I think I was in class 3 or 4 at that time. I
Hmm.
still remember. Then later I was pondering, like then I used to step up on the road or footpath. Then I used to think like now stone is also coming from the earth. So now
Hmm.
everything is Mother Earth. Like everything is nature is the divine in itself.
Right.
So from then onwards, what I used to do, like it's inevitable, I have to stamp. I have to step on the earth. So
Right.
I used to show gratitude to Mother Earth for the nature. Like Mother, I'm keeping my feet on you.
Hmm.
Please forgive me. Like it's not intentionally. I want to stamp you. I'm just taking your support to stand. So that
Right.
was my thought in that age.
Hmm.
And it continued even now. The moment I step, before stepping on the floor, I bow down to the Mother Earth.
Hmm.
So that became a habit.
Wow.
So like that, many things whatever he used to teach, it like imbibed in me. Slowly, one by one, I used to ponder and practice whatever best is possible. So it went on like that.
Hmm. Interesting. So, and then now, how would you say your life is different from most people that you see in the city?
Yeah, it's different, but actually, I do a lot of work like
Okay,
everyone.
first thing that I can see is different about you is you're wearing like white clothes. Is there
Yes.
any reason for this?
So I used to wear normal t-shirts, jeans, and all in my engineering time. I did my engineering, of course, from computer science background, and I was working in IT for 5 years.
Hmm.
So I was like regular. Of course, my thought process habits were different,
Hmm.
but regular like fashion, like I was with the regular lifestyle.
Hmm.
I was not completely implemented those values in my life. Not completely. Few things at least I used to follow. When I came to ashram, like I was working in IT for a couple of years, then I had an opportunity to serve for the ashram with my guru. So then our dress code was white. Mostly in ashrams we wear white, but that was metallic white.
Hmm.
Uh, yeah, I was not aware of it, but slowly when I was transitioning, I was journeying ahead. When I came to know that metallic whites are bleached and they use a lot of chemicals and they are not safer than any other chemical dyes, they are equally harmful. Of course, we didn't wear whites because of chemicals. We were
Hmm.
just wearing in a spiritual angle, like that's how our dress code in our ashram life was.
Hmm.
Then when I came to know, I switched to Kora fabrics, unbleached fabrics, but I was using stitched fabrics.
Hmm.
Like sometime my Guruji was like someone was telling to my Guruji that in future he has to wear dhoti and all as an ashramate. Like my Guruji was telling, yeah, he'll be wearing. Of course, my Guruji also wears dhoti and all. Then I was just listening, me wearing dhoti for occasions, it's fine. Then yeah, I transitioned first to unstitched like Kora fabrics. From there, I came to know that for stitching we use polyester. And
Hmm.
by then I was aware of plastic, polyester, polymers, and all. I was trying to avoid plastic as much as possible. It's not like 100% I can avoid.
Hmm.
But when I came to know that there is a like initially button, if button was plastic, I
Hmm.
didn't found any wooden button. I used to search a lot.
Hmm.
Then luckily I found some wooden buttons.
Hmm.
Then I came to know the thread is polyester. It's not cotton.
Right.
Then I was breaking my head now how to stitch with a cotton. I was asking for tailors and all.
Right.
Everyone said with cotton it's brittle, it will break, it will not stitch. But it was possible.
Hmm.
But they are used to polyester threads nowadays, and it
Hmm.
was very challenging for me. Then I started wearing drapes. That's how I
Okay.
thought, okay, let me try with drapes. Of course, I have a practice, but I used to wear only dhoti, but
Hmm.
not inners, not shirts. So initially, I wore dhoti with
Hmm.
kurta.
Okay.
So then slowly I transition into my inners also draping, outer also draping. So now I tie my dhoti. I just I tie my inner do draping for inners also. And I
Okay.
just cover. So that's how
Hmm.
from Kora, like from colors, then
Hmm.
whites, then Kora, then unstitched, completely into this attire now.
Okay. And how long have you been like this now?
So almost more than 8 years or 6 years, more than 6 to 8 years now.
6 to 8 years.
So I
Okay.
even if I go out, I am perfectly like this. Even I was traveling towards Himachal,
Hmm.
Triund. Up till Triund, I was on this fabric, cotton fabric,
Right.
khadi. This is organic cotton, of course, khadi,
Hmm. Hmm.
handloom, hand spun. So in higher altitudes, I was wearing one more little thicker fabric on top, no
Okay.
woolen.
Okay.
So I was vegan since long. I'm not vegan for just randomly. I have ethics. I believe on ethics.
Hmm.
So that's how I stopped woolen long back. I stopped leather long back. So I was
Hmm.
only on cottons, khadi.
Right.
Then even for cold, it was an experiment for me. I was
Hmm.
comfortably be on cottons.
Hmm.
Then even in summers, I'm very comfortable.
Mm.
So yeah, I'm continuing this fabric.
Okay.
Of course, I drape my hair when I go out to
Mm.
protect my hair also from heat, cold, and dust also.
Mm.
And it helps me to be like wear like a natural helmet. No policeman will catch me if I wear a turban and ride my bike.
Right.
So it's a natural helmet for me.
All right. Nice. So now coming back to the question of naturalist, so then your clothes are uh, all natural. You've been avoiding any kind of polyester or any of that sort. What about your food?
So food, of course, I respect food and I treat it as energy. I love my mother's food, whatever she makes.
Hmm?
And in the ashram also, like whatever food was served for us as a bhiksha, we used to happily eat it. It may
Hmm?
be sweets or deep fry or whatever.
Right.
So I used to eat vegetarian, of course. I was
Hmm?
not a vegan at that time. So I was eating normal vegetarian food.
Hmm?
So how I turned vegan was one Buddhist community. First of
Hmm?
all, my Guruji, he was hesitant to have milk. Of
Hmm?
course, we had cattle in our ashram. So I used to observe a lot. I'm an observer. So I saw calves, they were struggling hard to get their share of milk.
Hmm?
And we were pulling it out for taking the milk for
Hmm?
our purpose. But somehow I used to question them, like why you are pulling out, it's hungry, it wants more milk. They used to say if it drinks more, it gets indigestion problem, motions and all.
Hmm?
I was not satisfied actually. I did really unleash the calf and I allow it to have its share. But next day I found it had loose motions and I kept quiet and I pretended as if I don't know anything like why it happened. I didn't know.
Hmm?
So, but I was observing, but still I was not happy enough with what happened. There could be some reason it will not happen like that, but it was just parallel in my mind. I couldn't help.
Hmm?
So maybe it's true, I thought. Then there was some Buddhist community who came and they said they were vegans, they don't have any animal products. It was surprising, but I was correlating with the calf incident.
Hmm?
There should be some reason. Then we were invited to Thailand. They were from Thailand, and I had been there. I spent there for 1 week, and I have seen them making many recipes without milk, and they were very comfortable.
Hmm?
Yeah, 1 week, what they were doing was too overwhelming for me. Uh, Basically, what we talk about sustainability, natural farming, and all, I got introduced very long back in 2006 itself.
Okay.
So they were very far advanced what practices they were doing. But within 1 week, it was too much for me to grasp everything what their practices was. But at
Hmm?
least I got introduced to many things. I was getting exposures.
Hmm?
Then when I came back, I was pondering more upon it, but I didn't have much time because I was engaged with many other things in the ashram.
Hmm?
So later, when I came back from ashram for a while, like I was advised to for my future journey. Then, yeah, I came to know I was in fact a dairy lover. I used to, in my engineering time, I used to drink at least 2 liters of milk per day.
Hmm?
Like 1 liter, we were getting, me and my cousin, we were staying together, we were cooking together. And 1 more liter, my friends, they were getting. Like, if my cousin is not having, if my friends are not having, 2 liters entirely I used to finish
Hmm?
those days. Then from there, suddenly after coming back from ashram also, I came to know about desi cow, way to milk and all. I was searching for desi cow breeds and all. Literally, I used to go surprise visit to the farm and I was seeing the practices. Are there truly doing the practice and all? Nowhere I found ethical practices. It was very horrible.
Hmm?
Parallelly, I got introduced to this vegan terms and I was experimenting with alternatives about
Hmm?
making curd and milks and all. By then, I was comfortable actually. Then I thought, why should I break my head to find these ethical practices? I'll just stop dairy.
Hmm?
From that moment, I stopped. It has been now more than 7 years I'm vegan.
Okay.
So initially 1 year I was having dairy after coming back from ashram. In fact, we went to a slaughter, like what you call Goshala, where
Mm.
cows were taken care. In fact, we wanted to get a cow. I also designed a biogas plant in my
Mm.
house on the
Mm.
terrace. I plan to keep the cow at one place, taking daily for walking and growing grass on my terrace.
Mm.
In fact, I was in that thought because I
Right.
didn't find any ethical practice. I wanted to do ethical practice.
Right.
Then my Guruji suggested, no, it will be too hectic for you, like you can't handle it. Then I was literally asking in my mind, like, Guruji, why you are telling this is the
Mm.
only way I can get ethical milk?
Mm.
But whatever he said, I have to follow.
Mm.
Then later I realized, then I became vegan by then. But yeah,
Mm.
that's how my Guruji guided me properly.
Mm.
Then yeah, I continued that vegan journey. Then parallelly in ashram, I met one Swamiji who was a fruitarian,
Mm.
who will not eat anything. He'll be only on fruits.
Mm.
I was curious, how can a person be only on fruits?
Right.
I will not stop. I tried. I
Mm.
tried to be on fruits and it was very comfortable.
Mm.
And especially in spiritual practices, we have many vratas and all. So
Mm.
I'll take that as a chance to be on my fruit journey and I
Mm.
experimented.
Mm.
I was comfortable, but of course, there I couldn't completely do. But now, after coming back, I have my freedom. So
Mm.
I tried on and off to be on fruits mostly.
Mm.
Of course, I was doing my spiritual practices, sadhana and all. In that, it's easy for me to be on fruits. So
Mm.
like that, I continued. Eventually, on and off, I was on fruits and cooked food and fruits and cooked food.
Mm.
That's how I continued my fruit journey. But in that fruit journey also, like I started observing fruit selection. It's very, very important to select a right fruit, seasonal, local, fruit, which part to eat, which part to discard. I was completely keen, and that's what I teach people now. So this was fruits. And then cooked food. When I was in ashram, like we have an ashtrapati center there.
Mm.
So under my Guruji's guidance, we were designing the courses. Of course, I was taking care of the wing there. So we were curating food pattern for them and all. I was involved because
Mm.
I was connected with my Guruji since childhood, and I had an opportunity to involve in many structuring the courses. So he used to, in one satsang, I remember he used to show grains. These are birds' food. He used
Mm.
to talk that registered long back in my childhood.
Right.
Then in one preaching, he told from the time we invented fire, we started getting health
Mm.
issues
Right.
that registered. But somehow we are not able to come out of this.
Right.
Okay, so now it's a chance. So eating a fruit, I don't need a fire. So I'm not disturbing the birds. Basically, seeds nature is to grow back into plant. Later, I observed like how it became a food chain for birds. Birds will not eat the grains. Like birds, though they eat the grain, every grain has a determinative power to grow back into a plant. So
Mm.
those protective and chemicals are anti-nutrients.
Mm.
So the birds cannot digest the grains.
Mm.
Only the strongest survival of the fittest, strongest grains will come out through the poop and they propagate. They help in propagation and that's how they grow up.
Right.
The weak seeds they get digested. That will become food for the birds.
Right.
Even if you see in the animal kingdom, the tiger will not target any animal like that. It will observe whichever is weak emotionally, physically, mentally.
Mm.
It will target that.
Right.
Anyway, it will if it runs behind the strongest animal, which has a strong thought or
Mm.
mind, it will escape. So it
Right.
will not waste its time because deer can run faster than a tiger.
Right.
So only because of fear, it loses its speed and it will become its prey.
Mm.
So these all practices I was observing, of course, in National Geographic channel. I don't just see a channel. I
Mm.
see insight behind everything, whatever I watch,
Right.
observing. So those all practices help me to connect
Mm.
with many other things. In
Mm.
fact, fruit is not our food.
Mm.
Fruit by nature, if you see the fruit consciousness, tree's consciousness, why will tree give us a fruit?
For the transportation of the seed.
That's it. So fruit is a womb, firstly,
Mm.
holding the seed,
Mm.
nourishing the seed. Once it's nourished, now it's separated, disconnected.
Mm.
Till then, it is holded. The umbilical cord will be holded to the tree trunk.
Mm.
When it's ready, matured, it gets disconnected.
Right.
So now, when a bird or an animal or a human being, they get attracted with aroma, smell, and taste.
Mm.
So that's how we are a medium to propagate
Correct.
a bird or a animal or a human being.
Right.
So, but for a tree or a fruit, it never thinks that it has to serve us or other beings.
Right. So
It's
the way I
primarily,
have thought about this, I see fruit as being like part of a symbiotic relationship.
of course.
And so the way I think about it, I see that like carbohydrates are like the currency of the plant kingdom.
Hmm.
And so, like, if there's a tree and it sends out its roots into the soil,
Yeah.
like the roots are not able to reach all the places.
Yes.
So what they do is they form this symbiotic relationship with this
Microbes and
fungi,
other, yeah,
right?
fungi. Yeah.
And what this fungi will do is it will transport nutrients from
Yes.
different places in the soil, which the
Yes.
roots themselves cannot reach.
Yeah.
And for this job of transportation, they are paid in carbohydrates.
True.
And on the roots themselves, you have like a layer of microorganisms
Hmm.
who are actually converting these inorganic
Soil
particles
medium into
into
organic
organic
matter. Yeah.
particles, which are then being absorbed by the tree. And again, for this job also, like those creatures, those and microbes on the roots, they are being paid in carbohydrates
True.
because that's the main currency that the plant has.
True.
And then it makes these flowers, for pollination and things like that, and it gives out this nectar to the pollinators as payment for the pollination,
Yeah.
right? Which is again carbohydrates. And then once the fruit is formed, which and essentially because the tree itself is not roaming around going here and there, and so many different trees have different mechanisms of transportation. Like not all of them are dependent on fruit transportation mechanisms. But then the ones which do have this fruit system, it's like okay, a monkey or some creature like that would come along and it's like eat the mango, and then the kernel itself is like something that is not very useful for you, and then you throw it away, and then you have basically transported the seed. Alternatively, some of them would go through your poop as well. Like let's say you're eating some watermelon, you eat the whole thing. Like some seeds you might end up chewing, but most of the seeds will go through your poop. And then as a creature, you're walking around, and then you will poop somewhere else, and you have transported the seed.
True.
And the same, like if I think of jackfruit or something like that, like elephants, they will eat like the whole jackfruit itself, and then they walk around, and then like they poop somewhere else, and like you have a perfect conditions for the new tree to come out.
Hmm.
And so in that sense, I see the fleshy part of the fruit as the payment
Yeah.
to the carrier, right?
Yeah.
And similarly, saying that those seeds are like the food for the birds, that's because birds are another carrier. And as you said, like some of them will get digested and some of them will not. And the stronger ones,
Hmm.
and they will, and because these are like flying creatures, they can also travel good amount of distance, and then they'll poop, and then it's like new plants can come out from
Hmm.
different places. And so there are like many symbiotic relationships like this. So I mean, for me also, like the idea resonates very deeply that we are essentially frugivores, because I see even evolutionarily, I think our sense of sight and color detection has evolved primarily to identify like ripe fruit. But having said that, like though I want to be a fruitarian, I have a lot of like cravings. Like I smell really tasty food, and it's like there are things like this masala dosa being prepared, and it's like then I will eat that. So, what is your
So
actual diet right now?
I took time in transitioning. I'm not 100% fruitarian,
Okay,
but I'm high on fruits, and many a times I'm 100% fruits also.
okay,
So on and off, even if I come down from 100% fruits, I am on 95% fruits at least.
hmm,
So even in 5%, I eat majorly like vegetables
hmm,
or some cooked vegetables, sometimes rarely.
hmm.
Grains, sometimes I do have, rarely.
What kind of grains?
Like it may be rice or roti or whatever, but
Okay,
I follow some cooking methods
okay,
because it's very important for one to understand to eliminate the anti-nutrients from the grains.
hmm,
Then complex carbohydrates, we have to simplify it into simple sugars where
hmm,
I involve fermentation techniques. So even when cooking, I adopt low cooking methods. I don't just advocate mud cooking or stoneware cooking, which we do, but more than that, the calorific value of the LPG gas, it's very huge. Like if the firewood is 800 kilocalories, LPG gas is 12,000 kilocalories. It's
Mm.
so much huge.
Mm.
So the more amount of time you keep your food on the fire, LPG gas compared to firewood, so the more the prana depletes, the nutritional or energy value depletes.
Mm.
So in my cooking methods, I use like in the modern era, we have to use LPG in the houses. I use LPG, but I use only 20% of it.
Mm.
80% of cooking will happen in an insulation chamber. So I
Okay.
bring that temperature. To cook anything, you need temperature and time.
Right.
I bring to the boiling point and then I insulate the temperature, like maintain the temperature in a chamber. Like I take a cardboard box and put some dry grass or cocoa coir or something like that,
Mm.
cover a cloth and make a cavity and keep it. The remaining cooking will happen inside, and
Okay.
the taste will be so enriched. Like it may be a vegetable or a rice or anything if you cook in this method,
Mm.
there'll be more value towards the food. Like more nutrition is saved. You're not killing the life.
Right.
So that's what I adopt. I make many recipe. Like I'm not a recipe person, but concepts basically. I use those concepts in my cooking.
Mm.
But sometimes when I mingle around people, when I don't get chance to get my way of cooking, I earlier I used to carry my probiotics. I make stable microbial fermentations and all. So even if I happen to eat any food, I see that I have my probiotics. Or if I get a fruit, I'll be happy. If I don't get
Mm.
a fruit, because why? Because there are many set of people.
Mm.
They are not having opportunity to get fruits. They don't cultivate because we of our modern agriculture practice.
Right.
Now, how do they get life? In just cooked food, they can't get life. Fruits are not accessible. Of course, they are working on soil and sun, but internally, we need some lively food. So they make fermented, and I'm a vegan. I can't make vegan curds everywhere.
Mm.
So I adopted these fermented concepts.
Mhm.
So where I carry some mother cultures and just I add in the food, that's how it will enrich my microbial activity inside. That's how it used to help.
Okay, so let me understand this. So you carry, like, let's say a bunch of microbes in a jar,
Yeah,
right? And then let's say if you're traveling and then you don't get what you want in your format, then you'll add a little bit of that to the food that you're eating.
that's it.
And then, like, do you add it beforehand or like?
I'll add it and leave it
Okay.
so that microbes will multiply and that will be my probiotic.
Do you eat in restaurants sometimes?
It has been many years I had been to restaurants, but if
Okay.
at all I happen to, when I'm traveling, nowadays I'm on fruit journey, so it's very simple for me. Wherever I go, I get my fruits.
Right.
But initial days, like I rarely remember I went to restaurants.
Okay. Cool. Cool. So basically, even when you're traveling, you'll mostly make do with fruits. In India, we're quite blessed that way. It's
Everywhere
very,
you
very
get
easy
fruits.
to get it. What do you do if you don't have like ripe fruit? Let's say you go and then it's like
I
it's
plan
not.
my fruits.
Okay, you plan.
I do carry, and wherever I go, if they offering, and in fact, I also educate them. I also make them to eat the fruit.
Right.
So when I offer, they'll be offering something, so I stock up. I'll
Hmm.
wait for them to ripe. I'll never eat unripe fruit.
Okay.
So if I have to eat, there is a method to eat. Which
Hmm.
part? Like I just chew the juice and remove the fiber.
Okay.
So or else I make the juice and I made something called biosalt.
Hmm.
So which will add that sweetness. Like
Right.
whatever minerals were lacking in that fruit,
Hmm.
because it was not matured or not ripe completely. So that lacking minerals I add up with biosalt.
Hmm.
So the grapes which were sour, when I make the juice and add biosalt, it will turn sweet. Watermelon
Okay.
which was tasteless, if I add little biosalt, it will become sweet, tasty.
Okay.
So like that, I used to carry my biosalt microbial cultures,
Hmm.
and I multiply wherever I go. It's very easy to
Okay.
multiply.
So how is biosalt different from like regular salt?
So basically, salt. Why we consume salt? Basically for minerals.
Hmm.
Minerals are naturally available in fruit, ripe fruit. Nowadays, organically grown fruits, if you are not harvesting on time when it is matured or at least ripe or at least mature, you will not get that minerals. It
Hmm.
may be chemical free but not nutrient rich.
Hmm.
So for that reason, we are lacking a lot of minerals, and that's again life force also. Like when the gut microbes are utilized more for digesting unripe fruits and complex foods, you'll get depletion. Moreover, we are equipped with a lot of gadgets which is draining out our life force. So
Hmm.
most of the people are getting B12 deficiencies because of mineral imbalance and excess work for the microbes on the fiber rich foods. We need soluble
Hmm.
fibers, not very heavy fibers. So considering all these things, now we need minerals. Now when we cook a vegetable like say tomato if you eat raw it will have a taste. Cucumber if you eat raw, any vegetable like that it will have. If it is grown naturally, then it will be more tasty also.
Hmm.
But the same vegetable, if you cook it, it gets denatured, then we can't eat it.
Hmm.
We have to add some taste. So
Right.
salt is one taste. Spices are again having minerals. So
Hmm.
spice also gives the taste. So
Hmm.
basically the taste of a fruit or a vegetable is because of the mineral content,
Hmm.
which will come from the soil, which will come from the microbes, which will come from that symbiotic what we were discussing.
Right.
Okay. So ultimately, that is coming from the cosmos. Every
Hmm.
star is radiating certain frequencies. Those are absorbed by the plants, and that is formed into a mineral. Like we need iron. We can't eat iron rod. So
Right.
iron is coming from the cosmos as a frequency. A plant is absorbing, and it is forming into the soil. Soil is again forming into the plant. Plant is forming into the soil.
Hmm.
In this interface, we are getting that iron in a bioavailable form through a vegetable or a fruit,
Hmm.
or even if you are cooking with spices and all, we are getting those minerals.
Hmm.
Now, earlier we have been using inorganic salts like sea salt or Himalayan rock salt, Sindolavanam and all, desert salts. But over a period of time, what happened was because of our gut depletion, because of
Hmm.
the conditions which I told,
Hmm.
the inorganic salts which we were consuming earlier, which was digesting comfortably, now it's paying tax on the system. It's not digesting
Hmm.
in the modern times because of microbial depletion.
Hmm.
Now, inorganic undigested residues is paying tax for the kidneys or elsewhere in the body,
Hmm.
wherever it's getting accumulated. That is causing some health problem. It may be BP, it may
Hmm.
be kidney failure.
Hmm.
Like how initially kidney gets deposited with these inorganic salts.
Right.
Now, heart will take the role to push those toxicity which are
Hmm.
accumulated. It will increase its blood pressure, and we unknowingly what we do is we suppress the BP by taking medication, not addressing the root cause of the toxic accumulation in the kidney or elsewhere in the body,
Right.
only seeing that surface parameters, and we think okay we have managed the BP.
Hmm.
No, we are disrupting more. So more of toxins are getting accumulated. Now heart also will try to push more. We'll also push more to suppress the take more medication. This is
Right.
the trap which we are falling into. This is
Hmm.
one condition. Like that, there are many conditions which are happening inside because of mineral accumulation, wrong mineral accumulation, and it is not absorbing well.
Right.
If the minerals are not absorbing well, it is not holistic.
Hmm.
So if we are eating a fruit, ripe fruit, we get prana directly. Or else,
Hmm.
whatever food we are eating, it will become only a raw material. The body's metabolism will take these raw materials and make the food energy. It prepares into energy, and that's how the whole body sustains. So
Right.
now these raw materials are lacking.
Right.
So if we are lacking the salts, we are not
Hmm.
absorbing or accumulating. So if the salt is less, then there is mineral deficiency whereby the organs do not function well because
Right.
it is not getting that complete energy, complete fuel.
Hmm.
So now if you understand the salt which we are consuming is refined table salt, which is added with more of chemicals to bleach, refine. Why?
Hmm.
Because the source of the salt which we are consuming, obtaining in the recent time is the byproduct of a brine, byproduct of the crude oil extraction.
Hmm.
So when we are extracting crude oil,
Hmm.
there is a brine water.
Hmm.
Now the salt from the surface of the sea is different from the salt from the deeper sea. The composition, the strength of that salt. For
Hmm.
example, the water on the surface is
Hmm.
sweeter.
Right.
If you go deeper beyond, the water is saltier.
Right.
Okay, like that, seawater, even though it's whole sea, if you go deep behind, it's
Hmm.
more salty.
Okay.
hard.
Okay.
So crude oil is extracted from the deeper layers. So first thing which they get is brine water. It's very
Right.
hard
Hmm.
and it's very toxic.
Hmm.
So they do a process of refining because there is a lot of adulterations mixed into that process of extracting crude oil. So
Hmm.
they have to separate that salts from that brine.
Hmm.
So they do dehydration, then they have to bleach it. They use
Okay.
chemicals for bleaching,
Hmm.
refining, and they use high temperatures.
Hmm.
Completely, it's only sodium chloride. Will not
Hmm.
get any other minerals, trace minerals, and packed of lot of chemicals. And it will salt has a nature to bind. So they
Hmm.
add anti-caking agent. So there are n number of toxicity in the regular table salt,
Hmm.
which is more toxier.
Hmm.
Now many people are shifting to Himalayan rock salt.
Hmm.
Now we are the cause for the later earthquakes, unfortunately. We'll be the cause. We
Hmm.
are mining beyond the capacity.
Hmm.
Like earth will reform, but we have to give time for it. But we
Hmm.
are not giving time back to the nature to reform. We
Hmm.
are just exploiting the resources, utilizing for our selfish need, but
Hmm.
not giving back anything or not giving space and time for it to replenish back.
Hmm.
They're only squeezing, squeezing, squeezing. So
Hmm.
when there is a deficit, what will happen? Earthquakes.
Hmm.
Like we are mining basically.
Okay.
So we get gold on the surface,
Hmm.
like even for the ornaments, iron on the surface, water on the surface, petrol once upon a time it was on the surface, salts were on the surface. Now we have exploited the resources on top, we are going deeper, deeper, deeper.
Hmm.
So deeper iron, it's not for us. Gold,
Hmm.
not for us. On the surface, at least there was an exchange system.
Hmm.
So now gold, how much we will gather, we'll just keep in tijori. Even if we
Hmm.
have to wear gold, one chain, one necklace of something is enough. No, no,
Hmm.
we are not content with it.
Right.
We want more and more and more of accumulation because we connect that with money. In Shastras, it's been told about the value of gold, no doubt. But that
Hmm.
gold was different.
Hmm.
Once upon a time, gold was different. Now we are mining and we are going deeper into the lokas.
Hmm.
We are going to Rakshasa Loka, like we have in the scriptures, like Patala Loka,
Hmm.
Daitya Loka, like different lokas.
Hmm.
So now we are invading their resource.
Hmm.
So it's exploitation. So it's an imbalance.
Hmm.
So we need to understand what Shastras was told in what context. We can't just
Hmm.
blindly follow.
Right.
Because gold is very sacred, we can't just mine the gold.
Hmm.
There was a purpose, there was a relative placement.
Hmm.
What they have mentioned was different.
Right.
Similarly with salts.
Hmm.
So now Himalayan rock salt is mined. Now sea salt, sea itself is polluted. So there is lot of chemical load into the sea. But nature has a beautiful system to replenish back, to remove all the chemicals, but we are not leaving the fish also.
Hmm.
So fishes which were there to purify the water, we are completely exploiting the
Taking
fishes.
them as well.
Now how the water gets purified? Now the
Hmm.
same water, if you dehydrate and make the salt again, there are a lot of toxicity.
Hmm.
So that also we can't consume.
So then, how do you make the biosalt?
So now I make biosalt from these salts only. But what I do is, uh, first of all, inorganic form, we are not able to absorb. There is no microbial activity. So I'll
Hmm.
add life to that salt.
Hmm.
And instead of adding 1 spoon of salt, in this formulation, I'll use only 50%.
Hmm.
That 40 to 50% would be sufficient.
Hmm.
At least I have reduced 60% of the
Usage.
salt usage. Now, even in that, I'll take the salt from clean sources. Like there are some inland waters, like Gokarna region or in Andhra region, they have like inland waters where the water is clean.
Hmm.
There also there are salt mines. I get
Hmm.
salt from there, or desert salt.
Hmm.
So desert salt, there is a harvesting time of the salt in the desert regions.
Right.
So or Himalayan rock salt. But though it is not completely ethical, but one thing is I have reduced 60% of usage.
Hmm.
Still, I am getting the benefit with 40%,
Hmm.
and I am trying to get from the cleaner sources.
Okay.
Now, what I do is I add my microbial culture,
Hmm.
then make the salt bioavailable. Now, many people question me like salt is used to prevent fermentation or prevent the microbial activity. How come you are using salt? How come you are fermenting salt?
Yeah.
So there are resistential microbes which will be there in the seawater also. Seawater is completely salt water, but
Correct.
life is there.
Correct.
So like that, I have such stable bacteria which I use for my fermentation, and I introduce that in a medium. Like again, microbes cannot feed only on salt, so I have to give some food for the microbes.
Mm.
So I use either coconut water or rice starch or millet starch, or it may be okra slime. Then I saturate the salt, and then I keep it for fermentation time, stabilizing the gases and all. Then it will be ready within a week, and it will stay in a airtight, sterilized airtight container for years together. It will not spoil.
So it will
And
be in the
outside the
form of a
refrigerator,
liquid?
liquid form.
Okay. And then basically you can use that liquid instead of using salt.
That's it.
Just the
And
way we
you
normally use
require
salt.
very, very little, not even 40%. Like once you understand the concept of that biosalt, like you'll just introduce, and if you wait, you'll see the magic.
Okay.
Like we have a notion to add salt and taste. We are feeling the salt taste. We are
Right.
actually losing the vegetable taste,
Right.
spice taste, or other taste. Mostly it will be salt dominant. But in this, even if you add little and wait, the magic will happen. The microbes will do the magic.
Right.
You will get the taste of the food, not salty taste, but the taste and enriching experience of that food.
Right.
So you can still come down from 40%. That's the beauty of biosalt.
Okay. So you said in your cooking process, anyways, you will kind of bring it to a boil and then you keep it in this insulation
Insulation.
chamber. So you add the biosalt
Last.
at the end.
Yeah, by heating, we can just add and wait.
Okay, okay. So when like in the insulation, okay, cool.
Mhm.
So your basic, like if I try to understand the overall idea, like what I'm seeing, the common theme is to make sure that there is
Life.
like abundance of life happening over there.
That's it.
Like that microbial activity should be
Yes.
within that food, and it's not like devoid of that microbial
Yes.
activity, essentially. Cool. So then, which kind of brings me to the next topic that I wanted to talk to you about was like water, right? Because just now you introduced me to a couple of different setups that you have, which is very unique, and it's like I've not really seen anyone else kind of doing this. So I will let you only explain it. That it's like what do you do for your water?
So water again is our life, because we are getting life from the water also. Rainwater is the ultimate water. If we can catch the rainwater, harness the rainwater and store it. Only thing is you have to not allow the sunrise to fall, and it should be aerated, and you can retain the rainwater for lifetime. It will not spoil. It will have life.
Okay.
So the moment sun falls on the water, algae will form. Now we can't drink that algae water. No, control the growth of algae, you have to introduce some other microbial species, plant species. So that's how the streams and ponds and rivers are. So that's the nature. Rainwater is distilled water, purest water. Now we mimic it. We have a distillation unit. We boil the water and condense it and tell that it's completely distilled water, no minerals. We need minerals actually. We need purest prana, life form. So we are mimicking it. We are making H2O distilled water, but no life there in this method. Like if you boil and condense.
Right.
But in my method, what I do distillation, like I follow just that natural phenomena. If I get rainwater, it's good, but many times I don't get rainwater. So I take the source, like it may be bore water or municipal like tap water. What I do is I create an ecosystem, taking a mud pot, adding clay, keeping water plants, covering up with small pebbles so that clay will not spread out. Then I add some fishes, diversified fishes and diversified plants basically, and just leave it. Some charcoal to control the algae growth. So municipal water, mostly we have chlorination. Chlorine is a volatile compound. It just evaporates with air, couple of hours. Fishes will feed on algae and larvae and all the plants residue. Plants will take the nutrients from the fish waste and all. That's the ecosystem, symbiotic ecosystem which I create. Charcoal also will control the algae growth. That's it. I leave it. Initially, it will take 15 to 30 days to set up that symbiotic relationship. Once it's done, I collect the water, I drink it, I add the water back. I give time to create that model again. If I have to set up a new system, I take this inoculation of this pond, small mimicking that homely pond, home pond water, into the new pond.
Okay.
That will happen within 2 3 days instead of 1 month.
Mm.
It will set.
Okay.
So like that, this is one model I created. Other model is sedimentation and floating technique, where I have a drum and I fix a tap little above level so that this sediments will settle down, floating will be on the surface.
Mm.
I cover a cloth and allow the sun and moon energies, cosmic energies. I add charcoal to control the algae growth. Now there is no fishes, no plants. This is one setup. So charcoal will take care.
Okay.
And I add different stones and pebbles.
Mm.
That's it. I collect the water. I add the water.
Mm.
I give time.
Okay.
So in the mud pot, again I add pebbles, crystals, and all silver, copper, gold, whatever. It will recharge, re-energize, remineralize the water.
Right.
So these are some methods. Like that, I have different models. But now, what for a normal person who have RO water? So RO water is the worst. Better not at all to have rather than having bore water. Now bore water is very high in TDS. We need some software. So RO has been introduced because of that. Now what I suggest people for RO water, people who are using RO water is RO water is devoid of minerals, life, uh, structuring. So what I do is restructure, remineralize, re-energize the water. So how you can do, just take the RO water, keep in a mud pot or a glass jug, cover a cloth, add some stones, pebbles, add some ash. Then you can also add some mint leaf or tulsi leaf. Then charcoal, cover a cloth and keep it for 24 hours under sun. That's it. Drink that water, it will be heavenly. Like it will re-energize the sun energy, moon energy, it will structure back.
Right.
You're adding minerals back naturally. That's how we can start. So like that, there are many models for water purification.
Okay. What happens when someone is drinking, say, RO water? You just said like that's the worst water you could have.
So RO water basically, because it's dividing prana first of all, which we need, or minerals which we need as a material to make the prana. So because it is deficient and the water is acidic in pH also, the body will leach minerals from the bones to buffer and neutralize the blood. What happens? There is a system called homeostasis in the body, where blood always try to alkalize, be in alkaline level.
Right.
So the blood turns acidic due to various reasons. It may be one reason could be stress.
Right.
One reason could be emotional suppressions. One reason could be not eating lively foods. Whatever matters, body tries to search for minerals from the food or water in the first instant for balancing that buffer and neutralizing that pH. When it is not getting from any of these sources, mostly we are eating cooked food, preserved foods, processed foods. There is no life there, no life in water.
Right.
Then what is the other alternative is bones, joints. So it will absorb the nutrients, minerals from there to buffer this pH. Nothing will happen initially. Slowly there is a degeneration in a minuscule form, but it starts that activity.
Right.
So to buffer that pH, it will utilize maybe 1-2%. Remaining will go and settle in kidneys or gallbladder or excess bone growth somewhere in the body. And that's how the acidity, osteoporosis, and other chain of problems will start.
Right.
Now, RO water is the cause for a lot of knee pains and joint pains, rheumatism. And in fact, WHO banned RO 20 years back itself. If you see the details, RO is banned long back. But still, we are not aware and we are still continuously using RO system.
Okay.
So, yeah, Google is there. One can research. One can.
What about suppose one is able to get most of their water intake from fruits?
That's ultimate. But it should be ripe fruit.
Right.
We need not, like when I eat fruits, I hardly drink water.
But
because when I don't get fruits, ripe fruits, then like of course I have my natural water setup. I keep sipping water because if you just eat a fruit, if there is no hydration in the fruit, the nutrients are not transported. Water is a medium to transport.
Right.
So you need a hydrating fruit.
Right.
So it
So I
should be
mean, I
right.
think watermelons are like a pretty hydrating
Any
fruit.
fruit, like
Hmm.
just now you saw banana, like
Correct.
at what stage I eat. Of course, it was
Yes.
little over fermented, but morning it was very
Hmm.
juicy banana.
Coconuts would also be a very good option.
Coconuts as an alternative, but coconut is not like, again I say, every fruit on the earth is not for us. There are
Right.
many fruits which are not for us, but some are safer, some are not at all safer.
Hmm.
Coconuts is a midway.
Okay.
So if you select a proper coconut, tender coconut which has a tender meat, it is suitable for us.
Right.
So you have to just pick up, but we can't
Right.
just keep on drinking coconut water a lot. It will tax our body
In what ways? Why so?
because they are complex. It's not like natural water or the water from the fruit.
Hmm.
Coconut is not complete fruit, whatever
Hmm.
coconuts we are having, and we are not beings to consume coconuts actually.
Hmm. Right.
So we need to understand that. Sometimes it's fine.
Right, because see, I was asking from the point of view of availability, and in terms
Yeah,
of options.
when option, yes,
So,
coconut is a
so
better
like
choice.
if I am traveling and because let's say I'm on the move, the two easiest
Even I prefer coconut water. Yes.
options that I can see on the road is like one is coconuts and the other is like sugarcane juice.
Hmm.
Right, these are like two very easily available options.
But here, sugarcane juice, understand sugarcane is not obtained throughout the season. There is a season for sugarcane.
Yeah.
And sugarcane sugars are very complex. It's not a fruit, it's obtained from the stem.
Correct.
So it's very complex and very hard to digest.
Hmm.
So you have to add lemon compulsorily,
Okay.
but still it will not break down. So what I do is I add my bio salt and just leave it for half an hour
Hmm.
and see the magic. It will be so subtle and digestible and it will be amazing.
Hmm.
Sugarcane juice. Bio
Okay.
salt will do the magic. So I prefer coconut water than sugarcane juice.
Hmm.
Even in coconut water, if you add few drops of bio salt and leave and drink after 10 minutes or 5 minutes,
Hmm.
it will be amazing.
Right.
It's more digestible actually.
Okay. Hmm. No, and like also just coming from the space of like choices, right? So when you're saying that okay, there is like RO water or like other such options, like you have like bottled filtered water, like Aquafina or something like that, and then the alternative is then it's like if you're on the go, especially like you could probably pick something like sugarcane juice or coconut water or eat some watermelon.
Mm.
Like these are the
Orange,
orange.
grapes, whatever
Right.
season. Mm.
Right. Cool. So,
In fact, if nothing is there, if only RO water is there, I'm comfortable taking that also.
hmm,
I sip the water, I keep in my mouth, salivate, like slowly I take that water.
hmm,
Uh, I prefer to take direct tap water.
hmm.
If nothing is there, if only RO water is there, I sip it. Of course, I carry my bio salt or
So
something.
you're saying you actually prefer tap water over RO water?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, that's very
Even
interesting.
in railway stations,
Hmm?
just understand the hygiene of the water nowadays. The
Yeah.
tap waters in the railway station. I'm
Right.
very comfortable taking that water also. Earlier, I was hesitant, but
Hmm.
later, when I understood about the water, life form, and all,
Hmm.
I comfortably drink the tap water, whatever is available, non-RO, like normal tap waters in the station.
Oh, that's a very interesting thought, no? Because that's radically opposite to most of
Like
society.
everyone have a notion like you will get infection, cold and cough. I understand complete disease cycle.
Hmm.
So I'm very much broad now. Like
Hmm.
I know what happens.
Right.
So I'm comfortable. Yeah, it's again thought process and it will take time to reach that level also.
Right. So you said in the ashram you were sort of taking care of the naturopathy side of things. So you said you were doing courses and stuff. So were there also people who were coming there for healing?
Yeah, people come for therapies. We used to administer the
So
facility
they will
to,
stay there
yes,
for
for a couple of days and we do detoxification programs, healing programs and all.
okay, cool. And then what all kind of conditions were you reversing in when?
See, any health problem, name from cancer, autoimmune, or hair fall, diabetes, rheumatism, anything, there are
Hmm.
only three reasons:
Okay.
toxic accumulation, improper nourishment, overuse, and misuse.
Hmm.
That's it. We have given so many nomenclature for everything. In
Mm.
fact, we get all such problems. No animal in the wild get any such problems.
Right.
We are so much advanced. We have super specialty hospitals. Still, we don't have a solution to address certain conditions, many conditions.
Right.
In fact, animals very rarely they suffer so much dreadful diseases or something like that.
Mm.
But domesticated animals, yes, because they are under our influence, they are not naturally living, so they
Right.
are getting affected with some problems. But that too very rare, not like human beings.
Mm.
So it's unfortunate. So one need to understand the disease cycle properly. Then, like you name anything, it's only the three reasons. So now the toxins can be physical level, environmental level, social level, global level, emotional level, spiritual level, karmic level.
Mm.
Anything is a toxin.
Right.
So address holistically, not just food.
Right.
Handle your actually thought is because if you see there are many people who eat n number of rubbish, toxic, unhealthy practices. They are healthy.
Mm.
How come? Yeah, they have a backup, some attitude which with which they are getting a support,
Mm.
but it may or may not turn up later. We don't know.
Right.
So if you understand holistically, we need to address holistically. So emotionally we have to handle, environmentally we have to handle, thought wise, mind plays a major role there.
Right.
So suppose if you are eating a very healthiest fruit and having some negativity on that fruit, definitely it will affect because mind is playing the game there.
Right.
Like if you have a thought that this has a poison, it has been proved
Mm.
in the science also, like in many experiments also.
Right.
Like there was an experiment where a person who was supposed to be hanged, so instead of hanging him, they took permission from the court that they will be killing him, like punishing him with snake bite. They
Mm.
wanted to do an experiment. So they showed a creature bitten by a snake and how that animal died with color change and shivering and how that poison was spreading around. Now it was his turn. They closed his eyes and instead of beating him with a snake, they made him bit with a non-poisonous creature. But to their surprise, they found blood venom in the blood. It's only the
Mm.
thought.
Mm.
So yeah, thought plays a lot of role here, whatever food you are eating. But in the modern time, yes, it's very important to understand the science in cooking, fruit selection, and all.
Mm.
So we, as a in our place in a naturopathy center, what we were doing is we were following some therapies like
Mm.
cleansing, detoxification, enema, and all, liver cleansing programs, kidney cleansing programs, and all. Apart from that, food, like how one has to eat food. Of course, this practices like as a takeaway, like after going back, biosalt to be implemented, oil-free practices has to be implemented, dairy-free alternatives have to be implemented. We facilitate there. We do therapies to cleanse, like
Mm.
how you give your vehicle for servicing, like what
Right.
they do, they completely cleanse the system. Like that, we do all the cleansing, like not just external cleansing. We do all the inner internal cleansing also with the
Mm.
therapies.
Okay.
So it may be Vamana Kriya or Enima or Gel Neti or completely different protocols.
Right.
Food also has a cleansing therapy,
Mm.
cleansing kidneys, and we have some formulations where we can cleanse the kidneys and liver and all the plant-based methods only.
Mm.
So along with that, meditation, yoga, tree connection, tree healing, we connect with. There are more than 500 varieties of trees in the ashram. So we
Mm.
connect to the tree energies, and that's how we can vent out the suppressed emotions and blockages in our patterns and karmic patterns and all. So
Mm.
that's how holistically we facilitate there. So we have a disease reversal program, diabetic reversal program. People just come for meditation also, only for
Mm.
detox for 3 days, 7 days like that also. Like
Okay.
that we used to facilitate holistically and educate on.
Is this still happening?
Yes, it's still happening. Of course, it has improvised now.
Okay.
So I was there curating the protocols under my Guruji's guidance. Then when I came back, um, I was not satisfied till there. Like I was still pondering more. So only I took like I'm not doing any therapies now. With only these food changes more intensely,
Hmm.
it's helping them. Again, people they need fast solutions.
Correct.
So I'm bridging, like
Hmm.
taking both and helping them.
Right.
That's how initially they are getting benefit with the therapy. And of course, I don't have a facility to keep people in house,
Hmm.
but I am educating them the practices and all.
Hmm.
Most of my patients, they with only food changes, they could recover many problems.
Right. Wow, that's quite a lot of information. And thank you so much for joining me. And so, just one last thing, which is that since we've covered so many things, like in case someone who's listening is interested in specific things, because we didn't go into the specifics, we
Yes,
just
yes, yes.
touched many
Of course,
topics.
I wanted to add chemicals, which we
Hmm.
are overdoing. All the chemicals, it may be
Okay.
cosmetics or shampoo, soap, or toilet cleaner, floor cleaner, everything.
Right.
We have to completely avoid these chemicals and come to bioenzymes. I have beautiful formulations of bioenzyme which we can make with our fruit vegetable waste.
Hmm.
And yeah, many people by this time, at least through social media, it's little bit popular. At that time when I started promoting, it was very rare people were aware of bioenzymes.
Right.
I have formulated bioenzymes without jaggery, without water. Like there are many formulations which I have done.
Hmm.
So yes, that is also one important thing which people has to adopt in their life.
So you don't use any soap?
I've not been using soaps since more than 10 years. Even in the ashram also, I stopped using soaps.
Okay.
No shampoo, no toothpaste, no soap,
No toothpaste as well.
no soap
Oh,
for the fabric also. I just wash with plain water.
okay.
So completely out of chemicals. Earlier I was using bioenzymes, now not even bioenzymes. Not
So
required.
for your body, do you use any?
Nothing.
Just water.
Just water.
Okay, cool. So for your hair as well, only water.
That's water. That's it.
Wow, amazing.
And that too rarely I use water, not daily. Of
Hmm.
course, I protect my hair with a turban when I go out from
Hmm.
dust and all.
But don't you feel like sometimes in the city, like when if you're traveling, there might be some of these pollutants, these particles which come and like stick to your
So our
face and
body
all?
has very beautiful microbial microbes which will handle all those toxicity.
Okay, so just water.
Yeah.
Okay, wonderful.
And when you apply water, there is a soap. Like you can just take little water. And I use only hardly 2 liters of water for my bathing. If I
Hmm.
take a head wash, I use little more. But of course, I recycle that water. I use that water for my flush.
Hmm.
So for my normal bathing, I use hardly 2 liters of water.
Okay. Oh, amazing. Okay, that's an interesting thought. Yeah,
Because
sweet.
if you have to
Hmm.
because I'm a nature lover, so
Hmm.
I'm calling myself as naturalist. So yeah, I have to be conscious in utilizing the resources of the nature also,
Correct. Correct.
all the Panchabhutas.
Right. Sweet. So yeah, as I was saying, so in case anyone is interested in any specific thing that we have spoken about, how can they get to know more about it? Like how can
They
they?
can reach me. They can follow me in my Instagram, Shailendra_SGA.
Okay.
And recently, I have started my platform like Sarvam Mai.
Okay.
So Sarvam Mai is the Sarvam is holistic. Mai is the mother's lab.
Okay.
So it was derived from Dwaraka Mai because I'm fond of Sai Baba. So Dwaraka Mai, Sarvam Mai like that. So basically, it's a place. It's like a community space. Like this can be replicated everywhere. So
Hmm.
now I have little small space for facilitating people where I'll be setting up all these practices at one platform.
Hmm.
So people can follow me in my Instagram, or they can come physically and meet me and see my practices. And it's very easy to implement such practices in their life. Yeah, it's only the mind which will block us. So normally I tell people, don't jump and don't get overwhelmed. Take baby steps, and it's possible.
Hmm.
So they can reach me on my Instagram.
Awesome. I will take those links from you and I will put
Sure,
it
sure.
in the description of this video.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Sweet. Awesome. Then thank you so much everyone for being here with us all this way through. And sweet. We'll see you in the next one.
Yeah, thank you all for joining.
Bye bye.
Namaskaram. Hariom.